I tell you, I used to make fun of my mother when dinner time would be 5 o'clock at Shoney's or some shit like that. We are not very far behind. We can hang when the pressure's on during these courses and when we're going after these phonies, we can hang. But boy, it takes us a lot longer to recover from having no sleep and jet lag. We got home and we literally have done nothing but nap and sleep constantly. So hopefully we're going to have our shit together before this coming weekend, because that's when we have a bunch roll in here for our shooting course in May. So Master Chief Davis is all ready. Brandy's going to be preparing all week this week to get the food bought up, get the cabin ready. So we're excited to see the boys, but we've got the rest of next week to sleep and get ready, and hopefully we'll be recovered. We had a fun time up there. It was stressful, it was long, but we have the sweetest cameraman, Wayne. And one little funny story, there's not big restaurants in Coos Bay, that Applebee's and Chili's or anything like that. It's little mom and pop restaurants, and a lot of the little towns that you go through, honestly, you can count like 7 businesses and then you're through the town. So I think I went through 2 where I didn't even see a grocery store. But we were very, very hungry. We hadn't had anything to eat, and there was a little hole in the wall, and all it said was pizza on it. So we went in there to get something to eat, and these old snaggletooth, good old country girls were working in there, and Wayne wanted a French dip, which is hot roast beef and cheese on a roll, and then they serve the au jus on the sides that you dip it in. We waited for a long time for that food to come. And when it came, she set the plate down in front of Wayne, and she said, there was still a bowl of au jus on the plate, and she said, well, I'm as sorry as I can be, but that girl back there thought that looked an awful lot like roast beef. She said, it's corned beef. I can change it if you want to, or I can just bring you some mustard to put on there. We absolutely lost it. We had waited so long, Wayne would have probably sent it back, except he knew it'd be another 2 hours. So poor Wayne sat there looking at that corned beef on that cold roll.
Just eat it, Wayne, so we can get the fuck out of here.
And he was such a good sport, he ate it. But number 1, roast beef don't look anything like corned beef. And number 2, if you knew it was the wrong thing, why in the hell would you bring it? I guess you'd have had to have been there, but it was pretty,
we
pretty
paid
funny.
for it too.
We did.
So they were used to that stuff.
And left a good tip. We did. So there were some guys writing things in, somebody wanted to know what shit on a shingle was. And that was a big thing in the Navy when we were on the ship. We used to have shit on a shingle. And it looks like shit, but it's actually really good. And it's just your typical white gravy made down with some melted butter and flour and some milk in there. So just white gravy, some salt and pepper, and it's dried beef. If you've ever seen the dried beef, comes in a little jar. That's what it is. And then they pour that over toast. And they call that shit on a shingle. I don't know why, but that's what it is, and it tastes pretty good. Somebody asked me about my pork loin, and when I add the pineapple, well, I let that thing marinate in that pineapple juice and some hot spices overnight, and then about the last 30 minutes of baking that pork roast, I dumped the reserved pineapple over there. It gets sort of good and brown. Somebody wanted to know who was eating the MREs with Senior when we did the little cook-off, me and Brandy. And that's a good friend of ours, and we do a lot of work with him. His name is Christopher, and he owns one of the largest airsoft fields anywhere here in Virginia. It's called Ballahack Airsoft. We built the tower together down there on his property, built a shooting range, some all kinds of cool stuff. He does a lot of filming for us, so a very good friend, sort of like a son, and so that was him. Him and Brandy get along very well. He just had a baby boy, as a matter of fact, about 3 days ago, so congratulations to Christopher. And one more question was about apple butter, and everybody said, oh shit, that don't sound good to me. Guys, they take fresh crunchy apples and they peel them and core them, and they cook them down in some butter. They put a little bit of cinnamon, a little bit of nutmeg in there, some brown sugar, and that's what apple butter is. It doesn't have any preservatives in it. It's just simply apples cooked down, and it's the best thing you've ever tasted.
Herschel always carries one of these guns. We'll get Herschel up here because everybody's taking a real liking to Herschel. When Herschel gets back, he's in Baltimore now, of all places. You know why he went up there. But we're going to get Herschel to eat on camera. We're just going to let him just talk. We're just going to leave the house and just let that guy talk. But this is what Herschel's always carried. I carry a weapon all the time, concealed, but I never found anything out of all the pistols I got, the Glocks and the 32s and kinds of stuff, anything that's comfortable. I just hate having that. It's just like having a dog tied to your side or an angry cat. But it's got a nice little clip. It's a little 5-shot 22. You have to cock it and pull the trigger each time. Cock it, cock it, cock it. A little 5-shot, and that's a wicked, wicked little round. And you can't do it with 5 of these. You can't do it at all. So that's my newest thing. I pay a lot of attention to the laws of concealed carry, the states I can carry it in that allow it with Virginia concealed carry license. But that came into a question. A lot of people are worried about you confronting these phonies.
You don't have to worry about me.
No, you don't.
I'm okay.
We know a lot about them. Before we go in, we know a lot of their history. We do a lot of research. We do a lot of digging, and I would not put her in that type of situation.
Well, you might.
But I'll take care of it. I'll be able to deal with it. So, but I think only one of the guys we've confronted have had a gun on me. In South Carolina.
I've had a gun on me every time except this last time.
Yeah, we didn't take him to Oregon, but physically carrying one. She has one in her purse, but no, I don't sweat it. I'm not worried about it. They react strange when the camera's on them, and we're only there, and by the time it happens, by the time it's over before it really happens with these guys, before they have a chance to think about it. They're just spinning their wheels there or something. None of it's registering, and I don't put on an attitude that gets them fired up very easily. I try not to. Just keep it and let them go. But you don't have to worry about Diane. She's in good hands, and I watch them. I read faces. I know when things are escalating. Just shit. I hate to say there's nothing to worry about, but there's not a lot to worry about.
Well, most of them are cowards anyway. That's the reason they have not stood up and done the training and done all the stuff themselves. It's all made up and lies, and they living in a fantasy land. So usually when people like that, they're pretty tame. And like Don said, when we confront them and they have that big camera pointed in their face, they are very, very distracted. And if we ever had the slightest bit of feeling even uncomfortable, we'd just be out of there. You know, they're not worth taking a risk of our lives or anything, but to date, not been scared yet. And
it's good for the viewers, though. Yeah. We want to see that. That's why they watch Evel Knievel jump. I'm sure something will come pretty soon. There's just a lot of these guys, honestly, that the only way to deal with them is just to punch them. And I got a couple coming up that's all. I don't even want to talk to you. There's one in Indiana, Chicago, I'm just going to punch him. I'm just going to beat him up on camera. And
I'm going to punch him too.
There's nothing anybody's going to fucking do about it.
When you
Especially
see him, you're going to want to punch him too. He's one of the worst of the worst of the worst that we're getting ready to go after, and he is bad. He's bad, bad.
The other one's a convicted sex offender. Really bad shit too. And
that's the one I was talking about. That was a worm. Fell on me out of that tree. Sorry.
he's up in Pittsburgh, and he is moved in with this guy's mother. The guy's in the Navy, and he wrote me about it. And there's nothing I want to say to him. He's looking tattoos all up in his neck. He's been in prison for a long time. He's claiming to be a retired Vietnam vet SEAL, and there's no talking to him about it. You're a convicted felon, and I just get off the plane and just beat you up. How about that? You know, that's what I do any flipping how. You know, I get the story out of these guys, but there's just a lot of them that just need, you know, beat up. I don't know what the hell would happen to me for beating up a child rapist. I don't really think too much. So that's your story. I'll go all the way to Pittsburgh just to beat that guy up. And I'll go to Chicago to beat up Fleck. I don't like him. Not boy, the shit that guy gets away with. But there's some of them that's all we're going down there to do is just to beat them up.
Well, we have sort of a small window. Our shooting courses start this coming weekend with Master Chief, and then June we're on. Dawn and Brandy and I are on. So we're going to start hitting them sort of hot and heavy while we can. We're going to have a little bit of time here in May. We'll have a little bit of time about midway through June. Not much time in July, but a few weeks. And we're going to, when these courses are over, we're going to hop in the car or on a plane, and we're going to get as many as we can get this summer while we can. And then we'll have the entire winter after the old rig and New Orleans is over. We'll have the entire winter to get after them. So we're excited about the last one. We were very excited about the first time out, and now we just we're ready to go. We've got it down pat now. We know what we're doing. There's no ifing, second guessing ourselves. We know what we're doing. We do a lot of homework, and it went well, and I hope that it's going to continue to go well. We're going to show you guys who these son of a bitches are that we go after, and once you meet some of them, you're going to be even more passionate about the stolen valor, just like we are, because it's despicable.
Yeah, there's some of them that we haven't showed you guys anything trying to put these guys together, but there's some out there, especially these. A lot of it is always, we got the records back on 2 guys today. The one Phony SEAL spent 18 days in the Navy, a whole 18 days, and he's running a company, he's claiming to be a SEAL, he's pissing people off. 18 days. And they do that to hide a past act of shame or cowardice. That's what he's ashamed of. That he spent a whole 18 days in boot camp before he cried so much they threw him the fuck out. But there's a lot of really nasty criminal types that do this as well. And this pedophile is blaming the Navy for that, that his new girlfriend has saw those, been sent, her address, her house is listed as having him because he lives there, he had to register. That's her house, that the sex offender lives there for everyone to see. And I don't want to downplay it, but there's nothing I really want to say about it. So to my attorney friends out there, I've got a few. I'm counting on you guys to hook me up, because if they can get in trouble for bum fights, I never saw the problem with bum fights. They're bums and they need a few bucks. And if you 2 guys will fight for the camera, I didn't think. I don't even know where I'm going, but if I beat one of them up, who's going to defend them? Is somebody going to come after me for just beating up a deviant like that?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. And Jimmy Crack Corn, a bunch of clowns, man. But there's just a lot of people out there. That's all they need. No
So-
talking about it. There's nothing, right?
There's no
Just
talking
I just
about it.
walk up and just hoof you a few times and let you know why I'm doing it.
I think that sounds like a good plan.
Well, you have no idea some of the guys out there need an ass whooping.
There's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes on these trips that you'll probably never see. For instance, when there was a confrontation with one of the Phony's wives, the first one that we got when we were there, my cameraman and myself, we were just in the car. Well, Dawn was in the car too. We were going to wait until the Phony showed up at the gym. We would have never gone in and confronted her. But she came out and confronted us and had a terrible attitude when she did. And so my cameraman and I were in the car, and so all of the sound and all of that, I think he got footage of it. I don't know how much of the sound he got, but she was pretty belligerent, and she tried to jerk the DD-214 out of Senior's hands, and then at some point she slammed my car door, and I got out, and I think that the cameraman might have got just a couple of things I said, "You not breaking shit," but when Senior said to her, "Would it surprise you if I told you that he was never a SEAL?" And she went, "I don't care." That really, you don't give a shit? You don't give a shit that he's stealing valor of all the boys and the men and the girls that are fighting this horrible war? You don't give a shit about that? Or you don't give a shit that you're married to a liar that's lied to you all this time? And she even told Don that he was a SEAL, but he wasn't a SEAL anymore. So I don't know how much of that got caught, but that's when I got pissed off and when she said she didn't care, that's when I got out of the car. And she said she was going to bust that camera into a million pieces, and that's when I said, "You're not going to bust shit." But there was a whole lot of really hostileness going on in the background, which I don't know if you guys are going to pick up or not, but she was a nasty little twat that needed shut up.
He got it.